Good evening, everybody. We will start the session by 7:05. We just wait for a few more people to join it, and then we will start by 7:05. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. We will start the session for today. Thank you all for thank you. Thank you all for registering and attending the 7-day online faculty development program on outcome-based education (OBE). This is being organized by the Internal Quality Assurance Cell (IQAC) of SES College in association with the Kerala State Higher Education Council (𝐀𝐧). We would like to welcome all the FDP resource persons, managers, directors, principals, vice principals, representatives from management, HoDs, IQAC coordinators, and all faculty members. About this FDP, this is a 7-day program with live sessions. The timing is from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. And this is our 6th day of the FDP. We have one more day to go. That will be tomorrow at 7 p.m. All the participants who have paid the processing fee will receive the LMS access, the video recordings for all days, and also the participation certificate. If any of you would still like to make the payment and get the access to the LMS, you can make the payment of ₹300 to SES College. The account details are put in the chat. You have hands-on activities in the LMS that are to be completed along with the FDP. My name is 𝐻𝐧 I'm the Global Relations Manager for IBS Solutions Limited, and I will be the event moderator. Now, few people have been asking for the feedback form. The feedback form is in the LMS, and your certificate will be available for download by the 30th of Jan. Now, moving on to today's session, we have today's FTP session that will be streamed live on YouTube as well. I'll put the link in the chat. Today's session will be taken by Dr. 𝐲𝐫𝐶𝐲, IQAC Coordinator, Cycle 5, and Vice Principal, Marian College, Kuttikkanam Autonomous. He is also the head of the Department of Hospitality Management, Marian College, Kuttikkanam Autonomous. Today, he will be taking the topic on teaching to learning, a paradigm shift. Dr. 𝐲𝐫𝐶𝐲 is an academician with more than 20 years of experience. He is a graduate facilitated in Theme-Centered Interaction (TCI) by Ruth Cohn Institute for TCI International, Berlin, certified NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming Master Practitioner. Over to you, sir. Dr. 𝐲𝐫𝐶𝐲, you can start.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Srijan. And at the outset, I would like to most cordially greet all the participants of this faculty development program. I would like to welcome you, each one of you, most cordially. I welcome you from right now. I'm in my institution, which is placed in the Sahyadri, the Western Ghats, and here it is drizzling a bit, and it is quite cool. Maybe somewhere around 12 to 15 degrees Celsius. But then it is a very warming experience to be addressing such an elite group of academicians who are interested in reflecting on their own profession, or I would say their own calling. Mr. Srijan was quite generous in his introduction, and he spoke about the years of experience I have in teaching, around 20 years. But still, I realized that more than a teacher, I remain a learner, a continuous learner. Every time, every meeting with my students, with my colleagues, offering me new insights and new points for application. Many times I ask this question, why am I a teacher? And there are a lot of statements which say, thoughts which come to our mind when we think about our profession as a teacher. We say a teacher affects eternity. Nobody can ever say where his influence ends. So being a teacher is a great honor and a privilege. But at the same time, it becomes a very big responsibility, because the role of the teacher is to touch lives. And I remember with gratitude the great teachers who have inspired me, starting from my own mother, who retired as a teacher after 32 years of service. She's no more, but in her example, and also many others. I remember my teachers who have inspired me to be a teacher, to become a teacher like them. So during this session, I know this is a continuation of what we have been listening to during the last few days, where many aspects of outcome-based education was reflected on. Starting from the philosophical underpinnings of outcome-based education, the taxonomy, which was discussed in detail, setting of outcomes, and yesterday there was a detailed discussion on how outcomes can be attained. In this session, I would like to start with a brief reflection on teacher, a few thoughts on being a teacher, and also the roles of the teacher. And from there, we will move on to the nature of the teaching learning process. We will have an overview or bird's eye view, I would say, of the complexity that we need to face as a teacher. The teaching learning process, what happens in the classroom or what happens when we try to transact the curriculum on campus. It's a very complex process. I would say a multifaceted process. And let us quickly look at the different facets and then move on to, and from there I would like to move on to my own experience in my institution, in my department, which is offering a postgraduate program, which is multidisciplinary in nature, by name MMH, Master of Management in Hospitality. So I would like to bring in the experience of all the members of my department and share with a lot of humility before you the humble experiments we have tried out in implementing outcome-based education. So that would be the general flow of this session. And let me start with the presentation. I hope the slide is visible.
Yes, the slide is visible.
Thank you. Welcome to this session on teaching to learning, the paradigm shift. I would like to bring your attention for a moment to this classic piece of writing by David Hanson, The Call to Teach. He tries to differentiate teaching from an occupation, from a profession, from a job or a work, and he puts it as a vocation. And he says it is a vocare means to call, and there is a summons or a bidding to be a person of service, to be of service to, of course, to the people, the students who are before us, to the society we are part of. And this offers the individual a sense of identity and personal fulfillment. I think as a teacher, it is important for us to look at what we are doing from this point of view as something which gives us a sense of identity and personal fulfillment. And so every process that happens in the classroom or even outside the walls of the classroom on campus is something which will be adding to our sense of personal fulfillment. So we need to make every action from our side significant and meaningful and purposive. We think about the different roles of a teacher. And as we know, in the modern world, in the 21st century, the skills required for the students are different, and the roles the teachers need to play in today's world is also different. Today when I was glancing through the Hindu newspaper today, the inner page, they have given it the title text and context. So the role of the teacher is something which need to consider not only the text that is decided, that is discussed or disseminated or dealt with in the classroom, but the context is also equally important. So what is the role of the teacher? At this point, I would like to put forward the thought shared by a preeminent professor, Indian in origin, 𝐉𝐚𝐴, who is a professor at St. Joseph's University. He mentions about three different roles for teachers. One role, he says, is that of a passive technician. Maybe we can see that. And the second one is that of a reflective practitioner. And the third as a transformative intellectual. The way he has phrased it is quite interesting. A passive technician is somebody who actually serves as only a conduit, a channel to share information. And through him, he is there, and through him, information gets shared. But then we know, in today's information society, with the influx, the onslaught of digital media, the role of a teacher as a passive technician is bound to become obsolete. The second one is a teacher as a reflective practitioner. Here, the teacher becomes a person who looks into himself, looks into others, looks into the processes, and asks questions, connects, and move forward in a collaborative way. And of course, this too is challenging, because it is not just a question of honing skills, but it becomes a question of changing mindsets. A teacher as a reflective practitioner will be keen on his professional development. He'll be looking at himself, the way he is performing or functioning in his profession, and he'll be asking questions on its efficacy. To what extent am I serving the purpose? To what extent are the attainment of what I intend is achieved? These are questions which the reflective practitioner will be looking at or considering now and again. Moving on to the third role of a teacher. This is a challenging role as a transformative intellectual, where he is somebody who questions set patterns and who is able to challenge existing patterns which are ingrained in the minds of the learners, not only the learners, but he himself will be undergoing transformation. Mr. Sijan, no, there is one request, annotation request. There is one request which has come up, annotation request on the screen. Should something be done about that? Or?
No, that is okay. Annotation request, nothing to be done. If any questions, that you can take.
Okay. So these are the three roles he speaks about. Now when we look at the teaching learning process, it's a very composite concept, or it's a very composite process, because there are it is, as I said earlier, it is multifaceted. There are different phases to that, but also different layers to that. Now maybe we should say that there are this is a process of human interaction, and there are multiple factors involved in that. There are explicit factors, implicit factors. There are themes which are expressed. There are hidden themes and themes which are underlying themes, which are some of the themes and ideas would be on the surface, but then many would be underlying. For instance, the transformation of the person would be an underlying theme, while the teacher explicitly would be dealing with a particular discipline. Personal growth of a person, of a learner, or expanding his personal diffidences, or getting out of his personal diffidences, or internal boundaries, breaking free of those boundaries and coming out of his reticences. His difficulty to, say, for example, his difficulty to communicate. Maybe that may not be an expressed theme, but then when the teacher deals with the discipline-related topics, this underlying theme also, or underlying need, also gets addressed. So the diversity of the learning community is another aspect of it. The motivations are different, strategies which are adopted by the students would be different, and when we look at the styles of learning, again, there would be different multiple ways of learning. The pace of learning also would be different. I would like to bring to your notice certain conceptual models or theories which are quite relevant at this stage, to understand the composite nature of the teaching learning process. Quickly, I'll go into that, and then from there we will move on to specific examples where outcome-based processes are done. Now, if you look at this picture is actually taken from the website of Howard Gardner, who came out with his path-breaking book, The Frames of Mind. And there he speaks about, he actually brings in a new light to our understanding of intelligence. And he says, we cannot say that it is only one type of intelligence, but then he speaks about 9 types of intelligence. And I'll just show, quickly move on through the pictures. so that will give you an insight into the different styles or the frames of mind or different types of intelligence he speaks about. This one obviously is what? It is musical intelligence. We have, of course, this suggests linguistic, language-related intelligence. What could this be? Mathematical, abstract thinking and mathematical intelligence. He speaks about yet another type of intelligence, which is very important as far as the teaching learning processes are concerned. He speaks about interpersonal intelligence in people. So when we are addressing students, we should know that maybe some students their intelligence is musical and auditory in nature, while students with interpersonal intelligence, which aspect those students with that particular aspect is very strong, would also be there in the class. I hope this picture gives the clue. This is yet another type of intelligence, another way of looking at intelligence, which Howard Gardner comes up with. He speaks about intrapersonal intelligence, and a person who is able to understand, who is in connect with his feelings, his thoughts and behavior. He is reflective in nature, and such a person, and there are certain careers which are quite comfortable for him. A teacher need to have a reflective, this kind of intrapersonal intelligence is important for a teacher, and the teacher should be able to understand a student with this kind of an intelligence. This is body kinesthetic, which is important in terms of movement. We speak about when we think about Bloom's taxonomy. There are different domains we speak about. We have the cognitive domain, which is mostly what we take up in our outcome, in developing the outcomes. And there are other psychomotor domain, which is very much connected with the body kinesthetic or movement. So the students with this kind of and this frame of intelligence, which is dominant, they need movement in the class. And as a teacher, will I be able to cater to their needs? Now, a session which is mostly static, with less movement, which is more of presentation from the side of the faculty, will that support the teaching learning process for a student? We have naturalistic intelligence and existential intelligence, to the person who thinks about the purpose of life, the philosophy of life, and searching for meaning. And if you look at the complexity of the classroom setting, the intrapersonal, spatial, naturalistic, musical, logical, existential, interpersonal, body kinesthetic, and linguistic. Now, these types of intelligences, and now this can lead to different skill sets and also career preferences. So when we have a group of students before us, when we interact with students, are we able to accommodate? Are we able to cater to the diversity that is there in the classroom? When we look at the National Accreditation and Assessment Council, their manual, we see in criteria 2, teaching, learning, and evaluation, which is one of the heavyweight criterion. There we find one key indicator which says diversity. How do you cater to the diversity which is there in the in the classroom, the learner diversity? So the preferences can change based on their intelligence. The career preferences also can change. So are we able to cater to these kind of differences? Are we mindful? Are we sensitive? Are we reflective of these kind of differences is a question, and that makes the situation very complex and composite. Another way of looking at it, so we can say about visual, visual orientation, auditory orientation, kinesthetic orientation in the learners. So this can reflect in the way they learn. This can reflect in the way they interact, even speak. People who speak very fast, even their tone of voice, the quick way of grasping information, photographic memory, we say. There are people who are auditory in nature, who their learning styles are different. They prefer interaction. They prefer to talk it out. Now, for them, it rings a bell. When the teacher is able to present it in an auditory way, it sounds good for them. But then, there are the visual orientation would be like it is they want to see it, and the kinesthetic. You might find them a bit slow. Their movements might be slightly slow because they process information at a feeling level, and they could be athletic. They may prefer movement. They may look for action in the classroom process, in the learning process. And am I able to accommodate them in my teaching learning process is a question. Now, quickly, there are visual people might go for different styles, pictures and videos, etc. Auditory study strategies again would be different. Um, you know, Lectures, or stories and listening, podcasts and other things. Listening to things could be interesting for them. While kinesthetic, they want to touch and feel. They want to try and um, experiment. They want to go. They want to move. They want to touch, taste, smell. They want to apply something. They want to meet real life examples. They want to have a hands-on approach. They want to hold things. They want to experience situations, experience new things, experience new places, and find solutions, and try it out. And they straight away start with that. And am I sensitive to these kind of needs of the students? So this is where the teaching learning process becomes a very complex setting, a complex situation. And it is not only the text that matters, but also the context and the nature of the people, of the people with whom a teacher interacts. Now, coming to outcome-based education, we are discussing outcome-based education. What, I have set a background for outcome-based education, the teaching learning process, which I will be focusing on in outcome-based education. We are the different aspects of outcome-based education, as I said, the philosophy, the taxonomy, the how to set an outcome, how to measure an outcome, how to map outcomes, the course outcomes, intended learning outcomes of a particular course, to the program outcomes of an institution, of a program, and uh, the program specific outcomes, the specific outcomes of a particular program, how to map that, such things, and how to measure this, and how to move towards, and how to ensure, how to measure the attainment of this outcomes. These are things which aspects which we have discussed during the previous sessions. Now, look at this aspect. I'm sure that this term has come up in this faculty development program. Most probably, um, the faculty members who spoke before me might have mentioned about this constructive alignment. We speak about outcomes, the different outcomes, program-specific outcomes, uh, learning outcomes, or course intended learning outcomes of a particular course, and then we have the teaching learning activities, and finally we have the assessment methods. At the macro level, we speak about the program specific outcomes. We have the program specific outcomes and the program outcomes of the institution or the program. And when we come to the macro level in the classroom processes, we speak about the learning outcomes, the course outcomes. We have this question: what is it that I want my students to learn? And what do I know? And there is another question which is very pertinent at this point. What do I know about my students? As I said earlier, this is a very complex, very composite situation. There are a lot of factors, in play. So what do I know about my students? We say, there is this old saying, you might have come across this several times. If you want to teach John English, you need to know English and also John. So what do I know about my students? What do I know about their learning styles? What do I know about their learning pace of learning? What do I know about their intelligence preferences? What do I learn? What do I know about their personality? And what do I know about their motivation, level of motivation? These are questions which are very important in outcome-based education, because the task of the teacher is to take the learner from where he is at the beginning of the course to the attainment of the outcome, to ensure that the learning actually does happen. So that is the task before the faculty, before the teacher. He, by just becoming a passive channel who transfers information from one area or one place to the student, he cannot ensure that the learning happens. Now, he may have to challenge, he has to be reflective. He has to be a reflective practitioner. He also has to be a transformative practitioner or transformative intellectual. He need to intellectually and emotionally connect with the people. So what do I want my students to learn? That is the clarity which I get clarity regarding that when I set my intended learning outcomes. What is it that I want my students to learn? Once that is clear, the next question which follows is, what do I know about my students? So that I can design my teaching learning activities in such a way that I attain the outcomes. So how can I facilitate the required learning? So if you look at this constructively aligned teaching, learning, evaluation process or outcome-based education framework, we will see that the entire process is actually taking us to the centeredness of learning. It is not just teacher-centered. It is not teacher-centered learning. No, that is quite obvious. But then it is not only student-centered learning. Of course, students are there in the center, but then we go beyond that. From teacher-centered, we move to learner-centered. And from there, we advance to learning-centered processes. Learning-centered, the process becomes, it takes the center stage. The process is what is important, and how can we address this process? And we say many a time process becomes very important than the so-called product. Maybe the output which we get after a learning process may not be a 100% foolproof thing, but then the process of learning will become very important, because that is the moment when that is the learning which comes from the process will help the person or the student to go on learning. And we say continuous learning. For us in my college, my institution, lifelong learning is one of the program outcomes. And that is one of the 21st century skills, very important 21st century skills also. Continuous learning, lifelong and continuous learning is important. And so the task which I would like to discuss, in this workshop or in this session is, how can we take the learner, or how do you take the learner from the outcome? Now we have already set the outcome, and now we need to reach the attainment. So from outcome to attainment, there is a space between that, and that is a space of learning. From outcome to attainment, we reach attainment when learning actually happens. How can we do that? And of course, that is where we speak about the shift from teaching to learning. No, it is not teaching that matters. It is actually learning. It is from teacher, the role of the teacher changes. It is student-centered, and from there it becomes learning-centered. Processes need to become experiential, participative, and collaborative. We have to solve problems. We need to come up with cases. A lot of the self-directed learning and things like that. These are all buzzwords these days. And we need to understand the students. So the competence of the students is to be assessed. The student diversity need to be addressed. So, and the process of the curriculum transaction need to be comprehensive and dynamic and flexible, so as to bring the students up to the targeted ability, skill, or competence. So this comprehensiveness and the dynamism and the flexibility which is required in the curriculum, and that is actually the flexibility of the teacher too. So we say, there is a saying, if you have only one option, in any situation, if I have only one option, I'm a robot. If I have at least two options, I'm human. And if I have more than two options, I am beginning to be creative, they say. So curriculum and curriculum transaction is an exercise in creativity. It is a dynamic process. It is something which asks for a lot of flexibility from the side of the teacher. So these are certain thoughts again, connected thoughts. A teacher opens the door and the student enters. A lot is taught, by only little is learned. This is actually the statement. A lot is taught, but only little is learned is from Professor Espal, the former chairman of the UGC, University Grants Commission. And he mentions this in one of his reports on higher education. And he mentions this. Because a lot of things are taught, but then what is happening with learning? Only little is learned. And again, this goes back to the, UN, learning to be, learning to know, learning to do, and learning to live together. Now, if you look at outcome-based education and the role of the teacher, I would like to quickly show something. The this the space which is given to the learner when from a teacher-centered system, when we move on to an OBE or a facilitator kind of system, the space which is offered to the teacher to the learner is on the increase. Now we say it's quite an interesting statement. A teacher is somebody who makes himself progressively unnecessary as he goes on in his process of teaching and learning. He starts, maybe in the beginning he looms large, but as he goes along, he becomes progressively unnecessary, and the learner grows, and the space occupied by the learner increases, and the fulfillment of the teacher increases on one side, and the efficiency, the learning, the skill building, the competency building of the learner happens on the other side. So the participant or the learner takes more, start to take more space. Now I would like to move on to, at this stage, I would like to move on to the teaching learning process in my institution, wherein I would be happy to, I would be happily sharing, with a lot of humility and I would say with some with an openness to learn from your feedback also. The experiments and experiences which we have had, as we are 5 faculty members in our department. We and our program, the name of our program is Master of Management in Hospitality. It's a postgraduate program. It's a 2-year, 4-semester program, and it's a management program with. But then it is multi. There are uh, courses from different areas, like communication courses are there, uh, finance and courses are there, management courses are there, culture related courses are there, tourism, hospitality courses, and there are different types of courses coming together in this particular program. So I would like to take it as the case, and then pick out some the outcomes which we have identified for our program, specifically for our program specific outcomes, and of course our college has the program outcome. Take a look at teaching learning processes. how do we, what are our attempts? Okay, some of the attempts are, of course, we make the attempts and then all are not very successful. There are shortfalls in our attainment, but then we would like to share the attempts which we make to uh, reach at the targeted attainment. So for our program, these are the program outcomes. We have 9 program outcomes: domain knowledge. For us, this is management, hospitality, and tourism management. Communicative competence, proficiency in using modern technologies, reflective response to ethical and social issues, sustainability values, critical thinking and problem solving, entrepreneurship and leadership, teamwork, self-directed, and now we move on to I would like to share the program-specific outcomes. I request you to have a look at this program-specific outcomes of our program, Master Management in Hospitality. These are the 5 program-specific PSOs, program-specific outcomes of this particular program. Okay, and from there, I would like to move on to the different activities and teaching learning activities which we offer in our department, so as to enable the movement from the outcomes to attainment. I have taken it from all different faculty members, and we have a course on business economics, and then I've taken, and it is Professor Sarjan and Thomas who offers this particular course, and I've taken it this as an to start off with one course outcome from his course, to analyze how the macroeconomic factors affect business environment. So the outcome identified is of the one of the outcomes. There are around 5 outcomes, but then I've just taken one to share the activity. So this is the objective of this particular outcome, or the end required is the learner should be able to analyze the larger economic factors which affect a business environment. So what happens when there are changes in the context, when there are changes in the political scenario, when a new budget comes, what happens? When a flood hits the state or the country, or when a pandemic comes, brings in catastrophe in a country, what happens to how are the macroeconomic factors affecting, how are they affected? So this is the outcome, and the learner should be able to, at the end of the course, the learner should be able to analyze these the economic factors and their effect on the business and business environment. So the teaching learning activity is a simulation activity, which is the activity. And here it is. Now this is the tool or the site which he uses for that. It's a stock simulation, and what he asked the students to do is register for this investment journal stock simulation game, and it is a game where real-time trading of stocks can be performed. So this is the possibility which is there, and it's a simulation, of course, but then the students get a real-time feel of the process. So the tasks given to the students include, like, you have a 10 lakh credit to your account. So this is this in the simulation, and then what the student need to do is, they have to select 5 sectors for the choice of investment. Say banking, IT, or construction, whatever. So once those sectors are selected, they need to stick to that, and all the investments should be restricted to companies in the chosen 5 sectors. And it is not a one-time investment kind of thing. They go to the site and then take the simulation activity, do the trading, stock trading for some time, and then stay on, and leave it there. And then it is not like that. They need to visit the simulation game frequently, and the in the simulation, the account, the cash credited to the account should be used. Now, for instance, in this particular here we see that the net worth of the person is more than 12 lakhs, and he has more money which he can invest. And daily gain also is reflected in the site. So this becomes a good learning. And then over a period of time, when is able to uh, you know, follows through, when the learner follows through, what the result is that he will be able to see how the changes in the environment, what is happening in the market, in external, in the environment, or in the political scenario, and certain decisions taken, or the policy decisions, changes in policy decisions, how that is affecting the macroeconomic factors. So the rubrics or the assessment, there are criteria identified. So you need to make at least 5% profit, at least 50,000 profit. And if you are able to do that, the scoring would be, it will carry 10 weight. And the learner should do at least 20 transactions and write the rationale why he has chosen a particular sector, and his transactions and rationale need to be given. Why that particular investment was done at that particular point of time? What is the reason for your choice? So such clarifications we should be able to do. The rationale need to be explained, and write a report on factors that affected your profitability. So what happened? Why did you get this profit, or why didn't you get this profit? And you need to draft a report, and then that is where the highest weight lies. And you need to draft this report and then submit to the faculty, and then the faculty makes the assessment. So for example, why the share value has changed, why share values have changed, and what has caused that. And when they research and analyze the reasons, learning takes place. So if there is a recession, and or a corona came in, and then, or floods and rains, allocations, or the repo rate changes, and so what happens, and what happens to the profit. And then this requires a lot of critical thinking, a lot of general knowledge, business information, what is happening in the business world, what is happening in the political world. We speak about the SPELT approach: social, political, environment, legal, technological, environment, the SPELT analysis. All these aspects, the learner need to be aware of that. He should be abreast of what is happening in the business sector. He should be reading newspapers, financial magazines. So this is actually, but then at the end of the day, there are a lot of allied learning also happening. Not, more than, it goes beyond the outcome, achievement of the outcome. The outcome is analyzing the macroeconomic factors that influence business environment. And this understanding can give, even I was discussing with the professor, Professor Sargent, who is offering this. He says, this is something which offers life skill enhancement also. Personal finance management, investing, seeing areas of learning. It's a life skill which is required uh, more than anything in the 21st century, where we have a lot of, the sands are shifting. So what is an asset? The understanding is changing. Okay, landed property, the property was an asset earlier. Is that an asset now? Um, so in this information age, in this, so how can you invest, and how can you save? And so this life skill is also learned in the process. Now another course is it's a very different course. It is on events management. So this is a course. This is actually an elective course, and one outcome in events management is apply the basic elements of event management. So the learner should be able to apply the basic elements of events of managing an event. So this requires certain things. First thing is, this requires that the learner has an understanding of events management, and he should understand the different aspects of organizing and managing an event. And only with that, so we say, in the Bloom's taxonomy, the first level is remembering. He should know, okay, if I am able to see something and identify, that is remembering. The next level is, if I can give an example, uh, it is understanding. So I need to go beyond that. I need to have the capacity to analyze something, and then I should be able to apply it. So that is the level at which this particular uh, course outcome is set. Apply the basic elements of events management. So what are the tasks given to the students? Gain industry knowledge based on experience shared by experts. So these are the students were asked to ensure that they gain industry knowledge based on the experience shared by experts. So that means they have to organize or plan industry interactions. People in the industry need to be contacted, and they need to interact with them and learn from them. So from their experience. So the students had to contact people, experts in the field of event management, and they had to understand from them. We say to learn from the horse's mouth. So people of experience and expertise in this field, in the field of event management, those who run firms, institutions of organizations of event management companies. So conceptualization of an event, planning, execution, the budget concerns in an event, the creative ideation which is required, and once an event is
Dr. Joby, your audio has gone off. We are not able to hear you.
task. From there, that was the first part of it, and that is through gain the knowledge by experience by experts. Then the outcome is apply the basic elements of events management. How can we move on to that? How can we reach the attainment of this particular outcome? Apply. So this term is important. Apply is challenging. It is not just remembering and understanding. Of course, you understand from what they say. The expert said you have understood it, but then applying is a different ball game. It's a very different story. You need to actually get into the field and play. You have to plunge headlong. You have to take the risk of doing it. And in this particular context, it was the time of the COVID lockdown, and so we had some intermittent sessions in between, but then we had to close down again. But in spite of that, we were able to manage some uh, you know processes like this. And the students then were divided into groups, and then they applied their tasks. And this is one event which was organized by a student group. Uh, and this was a Donate Your Voice campaign. A Donate Your Voice project, which will save your voice for generations. Especially this would be helpful for visually impaired students, those who depend mostly on audio notes now rather than braille. And so they connected with a charitable trust, and then they organized this program. And even there are students who offer their voice by reading and reading out textbooks and recording it and sending it to them. And this is shared to students who are visually impaired. So this particular uh, uh, connect with the NGO was done, and then they came up in the for the students, and this could be done from home also. So this was an event organized with student groups, and the assessment of the application of the basic elements of the event was done through. I are asked to prepare a detailed report. So I can show you a report. This is the detailed report which was presented. This was conducted, and the concept and design. I hope. Can you see the document? Is the document visible?
Yes.
Okay. So they gave an implementation plan, the timeline of applying of the event, relevance of the program, uniqueness of the program, event components, marketing and promotion. So they promoted the event through WhatsApp. Several groups, they shared the information. In Facebook, they posted many things. The digitally they shared promotional videos and posters. In the FP page, Instagram page was created. They had official posters which were sent around on the campus. And finally, students, there was an organization or organizing team, and the different students took up different roles, and all these roles and things like that were given. So this is an instance of so this is about and this is how the outcome was, the attempt to achieve the outcome, applying the concepts of the basic elements of event management by the students was we tried to attain. Moving on, this is another outcome. This is the outcome here is engage in self-directed initiatives. So this is the outcome. Engage in self-directed initiatives for ongoing learning, for personal and professional development. This is actually something which we try to evolve, develop in our institution. And so what we have done is the students are asked to prepare an autonomous learning portfolio, put together a portfolio and present it before the faculty. Every semester, the students need to make a presentation on that. They have to prepare a presentation and present it before the faculty or the board of evaluators, and it is based on the presentation and the viva. It was assessed and evaluation was done. And the objective was to engage the students in self-directed initiative. This actually maps straight away to the program outcomes of the college. And we have self-directed learning is one of the program outcomes of the institution. So this activity is actually something which helps in encouraging autonomous behavior, autonomous learning activities in the students. So a rubric of assessment would be like leadership and self-directed learning activities, skills, knowledge enhancement, and personal growth and presentation skills. So I can show a video on that. One of the presentations. Okay, this is a presentation by a student, Mr. Tony Sebastian. Is the link visible? Is the video visible now?
Start the video. It's. I think it's.
Is it audible?
Yeah, it's visible. Is there audio to that? There is no audio coming out.
Yeah, there is an audio. There is an audio. Yeah. Can you hear that?
No, audio is not.
What should I do for that? Shall I play the audio once again?
Yeah, just try it.
Okay, I'll increase the. Is it audible now?
No.
Is it audible?
No. Audio is not audible.
Okay. Okay, can something be done about it, Srijan?
Can you hear it there?
Yeah, I can. It's audible for me. You know, it's quite clear.
Yeah, just try it from the direct. Can you see it if you can play it from the YouTube link itself, the direct file. You're sharing it from some file, no? See if you can do it. Others might not.
Yeah.
From our side, we can't do anything on this. No?
Okay. Let me try. If it is in my device, how shall I play it? Okay, I'll
Do you
Okay,
have?
I can. I'll think I'll. Yeah. Try it once again.
Okay.
Is it audible now?
No.
No. Okay. I think I'll explain. No, this is he has actually given a voiceover. I'll explain what he is saying. These are some of the initiatives which he has taken, and he has um, made some money by starting a business by drawing portraits. Through portrait drawings, he has. These are he made some. He started a business like this, and he made some money during this, that semester. That is what he says. He has won several prizes in the competitions. That is something which he is mentioning. Okay, there are some suggestions which are coming, and let me see.
I just try that what they have suggested. There's a 3 dot beside your presentation and see if you can. Just escape the full screen from here.
Yeah.
And in your not here in the WebEx thing, you will have 3 dots. There you have switch audio. Might work.
video settings. I think I'll explain it, but then there are other videos also coming up. So this is a portfolio. I'll show the next one also. Okay, this was done by another student, Ramya Raju, and she came up with a very exotic dish. She brought in that which is made in a tribal settlement over here. So that is what she presents. See, these are some of the activities which she has done. So this is an online, and it is in a remote village or remote place in Kerala, in Idiki district. So this is a virtual hypermarket. These are photography skills, and this is her handcraft which she made, something which she made, and she has attended several webinars and on conferences. Okay. Okay. These are actually the self-directed initiatives which both of them had undergone during that particular semester, and they make a presentation like this before the Viva board, and then based on the rubric, the questions are asked, and they are asked to substantiate, convince us to give them the highest grade possible based on their claims of self-directed initiatives. They come up with proofs to say that, okay, I have taken up, I am as an autonomous learner, I have directed myself, I have taken the initiative to do this, and these are the things which I have done. And they come with certificates. I've started a business, a new business. I have, and then this is what I have done. So they come up with proofs, and this learning portfolio is compiled and presented before the faculty. Moving on. These are examples. These are all videos of autonomous learning portfolio. I've just taken the screenshot of the drive where we have saved this. Okay. Now coming to another course, travel and tourism management. This is an interesting activity. Again, this course is also offered by Professor Sarjan. The purpose of this particular, or the outcome of this particular course, or the outcome which we have chosen here, is to develop a detailed itinerary for national and international tour to specific destinations. So the objective is that to develop a detailed itinerary. So developing a detailed itinerary is actually beyond the capacity of a student who is not a practitioner. If he's a practicing tour operator, then definitely he or she would be able to develop a detailed itinerary, because there are a lot of information which is required, a lot of precise information which is required for a person to create a detailed, foolproof itinerary. It is not a very simple task. It's a very complex task. But then to reach the closest approximation to this goal of preparing a detailed itinerary, So we have other ways, another outcome also I'll share as we go along, so that meet this requirement. But in this particular course, for this particular outcome, to develop a detailed itinerary for national or international uh, destinations, there are certain tasks which are given. One is a travel requirement is given. For example, a business trip to a multi-city business trip to Europe, or a study trip to somewhere, or a leisure journey undertaken by a family, or a honeymoon trip by a newly wedded couple. So that is the nature or of the travel. So the travel requirement is given, and then what they need to do is choose an itinerary from travel company. So what they need to do is, they need to. There are a lot of itineraries which are available in travel company websites. For example, if you go to the website of travel Thomas Cook, now you will find itineraries which are not complete. All full details are not given there. But then a skeletal structure of the itinerary is available on the website. So what the student is required to do is, he has to study it. She has to study it thoroughly, a very detailed study of that particular itinerary in whatever form it is available. It is taken from the website, and then it is studied in detail. And they have to, fill in the gaps uh, in the itinerary. So there are the flight details won't be given in an itinerary which they download from the website, or an airport, which airport they are landing. Maybe there are, if you are somebody is going to England, which is the airport? Is it, the which airport? Is it the Heathrow airport or the other one? See, the they or in the United States, uh, which airport they are landing. So such things, they do not, it is not given there. And they need to identify the hotel, the budget. Is it a budget hotel or a luxury hotel? And based on the itinerary, they have to identify attractions, the distances between different places, taxi fare, entry fee to different. Say, for example, if they are visiting a museum, there might be an entry fee. If they are visiting say, Madame Tussauds Museum, then they have to Wax Museum. Then there is an entry fee. How much is the amount? They are going for say a water park, theme park. Then again entry fee. So based on the itinerary, all these attractions and distances, they have to calculate the cost. And from there, uh, how will they proceed? They have to. There is an Excel template or a worksheet which is given for them. They have to collect all this information, and they have to use this template to enter these details. So I'll show the template. If you look at the template here, the Excel template, I hope you can see this. I hope you can see the template. So you have to decide on, say, the what is the number of the packs. Say, suppose there are two people traveling, and the travel is for 4 days. So 4-day trip. So you have to give the details here. You have to start with the date. The date you have to give. Um, so you have to give the date, the departure time, destination, which are the attractions you are trying to watch, and what are the activities of the day, and what is the arrival time at the hotel, and the name of the property. Which is the property and where you're going. You have to give the details, and that too on day 1, day 2, and then the details of the itinerary has to be entered there. And what are the inclusions? Maybe it could be a breakfast is part of it. The plan is like that, bed and breakfast plan. And there are certain things which are excluded in the itinerary, like maybe entry tickets to certain activities are excluded from there. And then, so what is the cost part? So transfer and sightseeing travel cost. So you enter that, okay. So I have for transfer and sightseeing, uh, the requirement is around say 36,000. And then accommodation cost sheet. You have the details, the name of the property, in which city it is, what is the meal plan, and the type of room. If it is a luxury seat, then you have to the price would be high. The number of rooms required, if only one room, or what is the kind of requirement you have, and the cost per room. Suppose that it costs 8,500, including tax per day. So the total cost, if there are additional uh, 200, so it becomes 8. So this is the amount which is required for accommodation. Then other charges, suppose there is some 2,000 rupees as other charges, and you have to enter in the template the airfares for the travel. If it is to Europe, to Frankfurt, then it comes to around 75,000. If it is a round trip, then maybe it might go up, go beyond that. So the total amount comes here. So the summary of the tour cost is something which you see here. And this is per pax cost for one person. The cost for this particular itinerary for the travel is 69,978. So because we have given the cost, the pax is 2. So it is the total amount divided by 2. That is a per pax cost which is given here. Now, when the student does this, now this requires a lot of work. It is not a very easy task to do this. There are a lot of the things which they need to learn the important tourist attractions in that particular destination. They have to know the activities in the tour, and they have to familiarize themselves. They need to go into they have to search the Google, and they have to log on to the sites, and then familiarize with the hotels, their tariff rates, and offers, seasonal rates. All these things they have to study thoroughly, and also the ticket rates, airline ticket rates, various attractions, the transportation requirements, the taxi fare, distances, and routing of attractions. And this is how the tour costing is done. So when this is done, the result is that there are a lot of things that the student learns. When the costing when the costing is done, they will have learned the entire itinerary and destinations. They have a thorough learning of this, and there are a lot of allied outcomes which come out of this. They learn activities planned. Now, then visa details, type of visa, the processing of visa, cost of visa, the different time zones. The different time zones in the world, the different things they need to learn about airfares, how the ticketing is done, what is the exchange rate, because if it's an international itinerary, then the exchange rate need to be learned. So there are a lot of things which the student need to know if the costing need to be done properly. And once the costing is done, the preparation of an itinerary, a lot of allied learning, more than it goes beyond the outcomes which are set, and then they'll be closer to the actual. We speak about industry ready students. If he joins the industry, if he goes to the industry and joins a tour company, a tour operating company, then they will be able to straight away start with the work with minor support, or with some support from the organization. They will be able to come up with itineraries. So usually 2 itineraries are given, Indian and international. That is how Professor Sargent does that. Now coming to management, now I'll move a bit quick, because there are quite a few outcomes which I have listed. We have to develop an organization structure which is ideal for different types of hotels. Of course, understanding about a hotel and the organization structure, the different back office operations and things like that should be learned. So there will be a classroom discussion on organogram. How is an organization structure prepared, and what is the flow and things like that. And then that happens in the classroom, and from there they go to the hotel to study the organization and to learn the structure through observation and interaction. From there, they prepare an organization. They come back, and without any consulting with the industry in the organization, they prepare an organizational chart and submit to the faculty. And this chart is assessed not by the faculty, but by the learning and development manager of the property. So they usually the L&D manager, the manager, somebody from the industry, from the organization will be assessing based on the criteria, whether they have actually captured the organogram, the organization structure, and have they understood. Based on that, it is done. Now, this is an example. The different students attempting to develop the organizational structure of Crown Plaza. So this is the prepared, and this chart was sent to the training manager or the learning and development manager, and then it was assessed, and this assessment was incorporated into the continuous assessment or the internal assessment of the course. Now, another course is on corporate communication and public relations, and here the course outcome is analyze the different facets of corporate communication and public relations. What are the different facets of corporate communication and public relations? And there was an introductory, so the teaching learning activities which happen in the as part of so that this outcome can be achieved or attained. There was an introductory overview by an external expert. In fact, this was done by another faculty member, another senior faculty member who was the communication, the public relations manager of an organization for around 15 years, more than 15 years, and he's an author in this field. So he came and gave an overview. In 1 hour session, it was an introductory session by the external expert. And then the resource material was given in advance for group reading. For the group, different groups were divided, the class was divided into groups. They were asked to read the resource material and reflect on it and discuss. And of course, in classroom discussion was also held after the reading. And faculty was available for clarification of difficult areas, if any. So if they had a problem with a particular concept or particular aspect of that particular topic, then they come up with a question, and then that was discussed in the class. And then they were asked to visualize or prepare a mind map or a visualization of the poster or of the content and go beyond that. Now, what is there in the resource material is indicative. They can go beyond. They can search the internet and then find more ideas on this and embellish it, enrich this, and then present it in the visualization. And then they were asked to make a presentation, which was so. This is for this. There are a rubric for evaluating the poster. Content presented in a clear, organized, and logical manner. The way of presentation demonstrates grasp of the content. Creative and neat, and contribution and participation by all members of the group. So there was a peer assessment also which was incorporated. 50 weight was given to peer assessment, faculty assessment, another 50 weight. So that is how it was assessed. So this is the external person, and then this is the group reading session going on. Then the chart preparation happening with they go beyond and prepare information and collect photographs. Now, there are references to the oil embargo which happened in 1970s, which is one of the very significant aspects or issues which happened connected with this. So they collected photographs from there and then took printouts and then pasted it in the and then explained. So this is another outcome. Now, another one is another outcome. I have listed out the 2 outcomes here. Identify organization structure and management systems and network with industry experts and leaders. Apply industry standards of personal and professional performance. For this, again, there is an industry interface. The stay, dine, and interact interface. They were taken to a 5-star property hotel. They went there as guests. They paid for staying there. So they went there as guests. They were received as guests. They stayed there for a night in the They were given they in luxury rooms, and they dined. They had and they dined on there was a buffet, it's a course dinner, and buffet dinner, and then they dined, and they interacted with uh, the various section heads, starting including the GM, the GM and all the different uh, the top brass in the organization interacted with the students. So this was actually, there is a detailed report on that, and also I can show the report. This is a stay, dine, and interact. This happened actually recently. It was done. So this is an example for that. This is the interaction with the GM and others, and the dining and other aspects. So, and the report which was given is assessed. Another aspect is it is actually adding to what we discussed in the itinerary part. Developing an itinerary is a task which every student need to learn. So this activity, cultural or national or international tour, they have to prepare tour itinerary, organize tour operations, analyze uh, travel processes, demonstrate teamwork. They have to do it together. They have to learn and do things. So faculty stays as facilitators in this process, and then the entire process is done by the students. Even certain service providers are brought in, and then they have to make presentations, and the students question them, and finally decisions are taken by the students. Of course, in consultation with the faculty, but then the ultimate decision is made by the students, and entire process is conducted by the students. If you look at certain instructions which goes to the students regarding and how it is assessed, there will be clarity. In order to achieve the course outcomes, the assessment shall be done in 3 phases. Group presentations based on groups allotted and preparation of multiple, they are asked to make group presentations, and they have to also prepare some questions. Each group is assigned a particular task, and then they have to prepare some questions also, because questions from all the groups together will go into it will be a test which will be conducted at the end. And the execution and the conduct of the tour by each group in the assigned roles. Each group has different tasks assigned. The food, accommodation, travel arrangements, activities, different things are given to different groups. And these groups, they have to plan it and manage it, in the execution process. So, and the group presentations, before they go, presentations are scheduled, and faculty members evaluate the presentations, and teams are expected to clarify doubts raised by faculty members and classmates. The team shall be thorough with the itinerary, places, visit, location, distance, accommodation, entry process, inclusions and exclusions. And questions also need to be prepared um, for the test which will be conducted by the faculty once all the presentations are over. So this is how, and so this when this activity also is combined to the previous itinerary related costing activity, the student becomes equipped. We can call him industry ready. He is almost ready to take up an assignment in the industry, in the travel and tour industry. These are some other activities, like they uh, actively become part of travel meets, and this is also learning, professional learning. These are examples for the tours which they conduct. Okay, this is another course, Cultural Heritage and Tourism Management, which is offered by another faculty, Dr. Shaiju. Regarding the management, it was offered by Dr. Jacob, and this is by Dr. Shaiju KS. And the name of the course is Cultural Heritage and Tourism Management. So this is the credit and the weight of the semester and exam will be 30 weight, and continuous assessment is 20. We have direct grading. The first outcome is manage tourists or people evaluating the behavior based on the cultural background. This is the the outcome, and what the students, the teaching learning activity, they have to learn different types of tourist behavior. And there will be quizzes and other things. They have to conduct an interview with a cultural tourist. It can be telephone or online. They can do it online or direct. And what are the motivations of travel intentions, and what are the difficulties which they have faced. So they have to achieve this outcome. What they have to do is they have to develop they have to conduct an interview with a tourist, a cultural tourist, because this is a cultural tourism paper. This is okay. This is a recording of an interview. Excuse me. Is this audible?
No, this is not audible.
Okay. Okay. So this is the video of the interview which is conducted, and I can just show that. This is one of our students, Varsha. She conducted this interview with this cultural tourist, Cedric Mendoza, and so this is what she submitted as part of the assignment. Now moving on, this is another products and create cultural tourism models. So this is what they had to do is they have to need to identify and promote a local cultural resource. So they can come up with they can write they have to identify a cultural resource so that this outcome is achieved. And they can do is they can um, write up an article or publication in periodicals or magazines, online magazines, etc. So this is something which was done, and if you look at this, this is one of the publications by a student. This is on a very famous Samjus dinner, which is a cultural icon of Arambala. It's called Valla Sadhya. It's a very famous sadhya or famous dinner which is offered in this mass feast in the temple, Parthasarathi temple of Arambala in Kerala. So this is an article which was done by the author is Sanish Paul, a student of the college, and this was published by the student. So this is the details, and the details of this particular Vala Sadhya, everything is given. So this was published by Sanish in the India Travel blog. So this is how the outcome was achieved. So the task was given, and then the outcome, if you look at, identify potential cultural products and create cultural tourism models, promote indigenous cultural resources for tourism with a focus on sustainability. So this is one, and another one is apply guidelines by government or national international agencies. So for example, World Travel Organization on cultural tourism in local, regional, national, international context. So what they had to do is they had to develop a documentary or a video based on this. I have videos on this. Okay, this is okay. Let's skip that. Okay, another outcome is connected with gender and tourism. So sexual differences, gender and tourism, gender dimensions of tourism, gender patterns, and related areas. That is one of the outcomes. Understanding that, and that is part of sociology of gender. And what was asked to do. The students were asked to prepare a short film on these areas. Uh, for the outcome here is mostly an understanding, a deeper level understanding, and of course some level of application in this in day to day. So they were asked to prepare videos, films, short films on this, on culture and gender, gender discrimination, gender and tourism, women empowerment, ethics and sexuality. And uh, again, this is one video. I can show the video. Now this is the name of the class. This is Amala. So, this is a movie. 7 minutes. This is connected with gender and tourism, and uh, so this is this. So like that, five videos were made by the students. And how was this assessed is the question. Now, this was not assessed by the faculty here. Then instead, this was assessed by experts in the field. So there was a meeting which was done, and then the videos were sent to film directors. So this was done by one was Mr. Boban Samuel, and the other person who expert who assessed this is Sri Nooranad Ramachandran, who is again a film director. So they went through the videos and then assessed the videos, and the grading was done, and very detailed feedback was also given for this short film. So the outcome is understanding of gender and tourism, and how the interplay of gender and tourism, and this was achieved through the videos which were created, and it was assessed by the assessment process was done based on the criteria developed by the film directors, where those were external evaluators who actually did that, and 𝐼𝐺 also was part of the evaluating team. And in fact, we conducted a meeting where the students who took the effort to do this was appreciated. This is another outcome: present tangible and intangible cultural tourism resources. So this is a culturogram. They presented it as an exhibition. They went to the cultural tourism resources, mostly tangible resources, and then they took the photographs, and it was presented on campus for the entire student community and the faculty community, the academic community to watch and learn. So this was the outcome was presenting the tangible and intangible cultural tourism resources, and this was achieved in this process. And this presentation was assessed based on the criteria of evaluation. And earlier I spoke about there was a mention about publications, and these are students who published their articles um, in uh, different online for Manorama Online. This is all of them. All these students published their articles on different cultural tourism projects, and you have a picture of the faculty, Dr. Shaiju also. who facilitated the process. And this is actually a journal, a book chapter which was and the student Joby Jose is the first author. Some activities in the class include a fishbowl. This is a process where the inner team discusses the topic and then the outer team observes. And the learning process happens when the outer team can move in and ask questions and then challenge the flow of discussion. And so this process is a teaching learning activity which is many time given in the class for the learning, effective learning. Then another task is another teaching learning activity is motivating the students, or challenging the students to offer or make presentations before their seniors or students of other departments, or even move to other colleges, other institutions, and make presentations before them. So topics are selected, and then they take up the challenge and then present it or make presentations before the seniors or undergrad, other departments, students in other departments, or even before the faculty, if based on the nature of the topic. Okay, this is an interesting thing using roles. And again, this is again, as I said earlier, presenting tangible and intangible cultural tourism assets. Now, another topic, another course is competencies for professional advancement. That is the name of a course, and outcome 1, 2, and 3 are listed here. Reflectively analyze the various competencies for a professional career. Second outcome is demonstrate effective employment communication in terms of writing and conversing. Third is apply a competency in real life context and document the learning process. Here it is like the first one. If you look at the first one, various competencies for a professional career. Now here, this is mostly competencies like, say, conflict resolution, conflict management, or stress management, or supportive communication, or building a team. So these are some of the competencies which are required for advancement in their profession. So a management graduate, when he joins the industry, he should be able to, if he wants to advance in his career, he has to have certain competencies. Competencies, as we know, goes beyond skills. Competency is something which the student himself will be able to do. So this is the competencies need to be understood. So the first part is reflectively analyze the competency. Second is demonstrate employment communication, that is for career search and getting an employment, getting a job, in other words. And third one is, once they get into the profession, they need to actually learn to use the competency. So for that, they have to learn it in the real life context. So they have to apply a competency when they are doing this course. So that is the task. And how are they evaluated? The first outcome is understanding a competency, reflectively analyze a competency. For that, workshops are organized in teams with the support of the faculty, and they together the workshop is offered. And then a reflective learning report is prepared on the workshop, which is weighted 10, and it is assessed. For the other thing, for the career communication, means searching for a job, identifying a good organization, contacting the HR person there, striking placing an application, getting an interview call, and actually attending the interview. All these things are required. So they need to develop a LinkedIn profile, a resume. They have to prepare a video resume, and prepare do an interview. So this is also done, and a career portfolio is developed, and that is also assessed in a weight of 10. And the last one is implementation of competency. This is done through a mini application project with the approval of the faculty and support of the faculty, but then it is applied. It could be done in their home, or in a community, or a part of an association. They can do it on the campus. They can do it on hostel, or there are different possibilities in the church or in their religious institutions. They can try doing that, and the assessment is done based on the rubric, so that the outcomes are achieved. Now, there is a business English or managerial communication course, which there are two outcomes I have picked out from there. Demonstrate the ability to start and sustain oral communication. This is a really challenging. It is communication skill, language, use of language, design and deliver business presentations using multimedia tools. Now, this is very important skill, very vital skill, vital skill, I would say, for presenters, for management graduates. So, what are the activities? Resources are shared. So there are a lot of resources available. There are materials, reading materials shared, presentations are shared, given to the students. They have links, YouTube links, or videos created by the faculty, etc., are given to the students, or even overview and presentations, introductory presentations are also given. Outcome-based groups are formed in the class. For a particular outcome, a group of students. Let's say, a group of 10 students, or a group of 7 students or 8 students are formed, and these groups are required to organize various activities to attain the outcomes. So they can organize many things. It is left to their creativity. The only limit to the type of activity is their limit to their creativity. They can think of discussions online and offline. They can think about speeches. They can think about people invited, and discussions. They can think about students from other departments coming in, students from other cultures. We have foreign nationals on the campus, and they can ask them to invite them to the class and then have discussions. Peer feedback and teacher feedback on presentations which are made at different levels. And the assessment, if you look at the first outcome, ability to start and sustain oral communication, the assessment is done through a team viva. And the multimedia presentation, second outcome, is just done based on a multimedia presentation, and a very detailed rubric is prepared for the assessment of the multimedia presentation. They have to make a presentation, and this presentation is recorded. It is videographed, and it is made available to the students. That is done even before, even in practice sessions, it is made available so that they can have their own feedback on that. So this is about advanced. Okay. The managerial communication course, and so with that, these are some of the courses which I have identified and outcomes listed out, and how these outcomes are, trying to take the learner to the attainment of this outcome. As I said, the focus of this presentation was of this session was on the space between the outcome and the measurement of the attainment of the outcome. So that space is where learning takes place. That is a space of learning. And learning, as we discussed, as we saw earlier, it's a very dynamic, composite process which demands a lot of flexibility from the side of the faculty, from the side of the teacher. And it requires a lot of understanding, very deep understanding of the learner. Okay, what is it that I want to learn? Want the learner to learn? What I want the student to learn? That is the first question. But the question which ensues that the first question is, what is it that I know about the learner, about his peculiarities, his particular strengths, his areas which needs improvement, his concerns, his fears, his styles of functioning, his preferences in learning, his frames of intelligence, or ways of approaching a learning situation. These are all things which need to be considered, or which need to be understood. As we said earlier, the text need to be understood in the context and in connection with the person. So this is a possible, this learning process is very challenging. It's a it's a vocation. It's a calling for each one of us to be part of that process and to shed the aura of the teacher, as the sage on the stage. From that position of being a sage on the stage, to come down to be a friend or a learner by the side of another learner, or a learner who join hands, who co-creates with the other learners new collaborations, and collaborates to learn together, or constructs new knowledge. So that is a challenge, and that requires of letting go of certain um, patterns which we have. It's actually a process of changing mindsets, uh, and that is the paradigm shift, the shift from teaching to learning. I remember, with this mention of that movie, there is one English movie which says by the name "Pay It Forward." Pay it forward is, we are familiar with paying it back. So the movie is "Pay It Forward," and in that movie there's a scene where the student, this is the story is about a little boy in a school who started with a project of paying it forward, giving something to somebody else, which without uh, expecting anything in reward. So this project was started, and then there's one conversation between this student and the teacher, and when the teacher tries to advise him, at one moment, he tries to advise this student, and then he makes a statement: "Please don't be teachery." So he makes this statement, he coins, the a new word: "Don't be teachery." Well, maybe I like that expression. So maybe not being very teachery is the need of the hour. That is how I look at it. And the process of learning is equally important for the faculty, for the teacher. And I think for that, the teacher also need to be reflective of his own strengths and weaknesses, and he should be ready to open up, or to be ready with his vulnerabilities. Okay? Nobody is perfect, and learning is a process which goes on. Okay, we have, and this is a lifelong process. We speak about lifelong learning that is applicable not only to the students but also to the teachers. So that is the option here. And at this point, something which I would like to uh, share is the last thing. I'll take 2 minutes for that, and then with that I'll close. Okay, these are the things which I have. Okay, this is what I want to share with you. This is uh, something called an approach to education called theme-centered interaction, TCI, or theme-centered interaction. It is an approach to education which is learning-centered. And the process of education which TCI puts forward is called living learning, a learning which takes into consideration the context and the people who are present in the situation. And there are, you see this triangle within the circle, and I, we, it, and the globe. These are the 4 factors which create a classroom situation. I is the individual, we is the group which come together. When a class of students come together, it becomes and the teacher together, it becomes a group. And this group is a we, and we has an identity. Not only the individual, but also the group has an identity. We speak about, mm, in management and psychology, we speak about the stages of group development, and there we speak about different emotional, we speak about storming, norming, forming, performing, and adjourning. So in the same way, so the group also has its own identity, and then it is the task or the goal which we set, the vision, the task, the subject matters which dealt with, and the globe is the context. So within the context, in the environment, I, we, I is the individual. So each person is important. Diversity need to be attended to. Individual specialities need to be attended to. Individual strengths need to be built upon. Individual weaknesses need to be helped, handheld. You need a hand, you may have to scaffold. You may have to handhold a person to get out of his individual difficulties and learn. And the group is important, and the task is important. And the real challenge is whether we can balance all these four: the context, the person, individual, the group, and the task. Many a time in our education, as Professor Espal rightly put it, a lot is taught because there is a lot of it happening. Lot is taught, but little is learned. So the space given, I hope you remember that that diagram. The space given to the learner, when it is less learning takes place. The more space, there is possibility of more experimentation and more learning, more experiencing. And this balancing of these four factors is the key. This is the crux of the approach to education called theme-centered interaction. So, when we put together the concepts of outcome-based education and the philosophy underlying that, so this is where it's actually looking forward to a living learning experience, which is meaningful, which is whole person, which encompasses the whole person, which is holistic, which attends to the need of the individual, which attends to the need of the group, which takes care of the task which is at hand. So, and teaching, learning, and evaluation is a very challenging task, but then very fruitful and rewarding task, because for a teacher, it is something which enhances the identity of the teacher and makes the processes meaningful. With that, I would like to close the session, and I would like to if there are questions and comments and maybe contributions also from your side, I would be happy to listen, and any question which can be addressed, I'll be happy to do. But otherwise, of course, maybe we may have to find answers together for certain questions. Even that is also there. Thank you.
If you have any questions to draw Dr. 𝐲𝐫𝐸, you can please post them in the chat or unmute yourself and ask. We'll also be taking questions from YouTube. Tomorrow we'll be having the session same at 7 p.m. Tomorrow will be our final day. Please join in for that as well. All right, if you don't have any questions, then we will end the session for today. We will join tomorrow at 7 p.m. Tomorrow will be our last day. Tomorrow we'll be having the validatory function as well. Tomorrow's session, the first session will be by, we'll be having a session by Dr. Binu Thomas on immersive technologies for OBE, implementation and case studies. So that will be the topic tomorrow. We will start by 7, and then we will have the toward the later after Dr. Binu Thomas's session, we will have the validatory function. All right, everybody, thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. 𝐲𝐫𝐸, for that wonderful information that you given. We will end for today. We will see you all tomorrow. Thank you. Good night.
Right.